Have you ever wondered what truly defines success? Is it just about titles, overflowing bank accounts, or impeccable appearances? Or is true success something much deeper, something we often overlook? Today I'm going to explore a story that challenges all these conventional notions, a story that invites me to rethink what truly matters in my life and in my relationships. My name is Sarah, and in my family's eyes, I was always seen as the failure. Why? Because I have the courage to choose love, a love that didn't fit into established norms. My husband, John, was a simple truck driver in a small town in Texas, while my sister Emily was celebrated for her marriage to a rich man. I lived years of disdain, pitying glances, and veiled comments that questioned my choices. But what no one saw, what no one wanted to see, was the genuine happiness John and I built together, day after day. My life wasn't marked by luxury or ostentation, but by something far more valuable: dignity. John, though seen as an ordinary man, was a tireless worker, a man of character and determination. Together, we built a life based on mutual respect, unconditional support, and true love. Meanwhile, my family, blinded by the glitter of money and status, ignored the richness that existed in my heart and in John's. But life, as always, has its setbacks. A financial crisis shakes my family, and suddenly, all those who once scorned me find themselves desperate, knocking on my door for help. And this is where the story becomes even more powerful, because John and I not only opened our doors, but also our hearts. We showed that true value was never in money, but in character, compassion, and the ability to love unconditionally. This story invites me to reflect on the values that truly matter. What is success to me? Is it the approval of others? Or is it the inner peace that comes from living according to my principles? Is it material wealth? Or is it the emotional wealth I build with those I love? These are profound questions, and the answers can lead me on a path of self-discovery and transformation. Throughout this journey, I will explore the challenges I faced, the internal patterns that kept me trapped by others' judgment, and how John and I managed to overcome these barriers. I will understand how communication, vulnerability, and conscious love can transform not only our relationships, but also our lives. And above all, I will discover that true success lies in being true to myself, in choosing love, and in building a life based on values that truly matter. So, get ready for a deep and transformative journey. We will delve into the emotions, doubts, and discoveries that are part of this journey. We will learn to see beyond appearances and to value what truly matters. Because in the end, true success is not where everyone imagines, but in the heart of those who have the courage to live with authenticity and love. Now, I will delve deeper into my journey, exploring the challenges I faced and how they shaped my understanding of success and true love. Imagine yourself in my shoes, surrounded by judgmental glances and comments that undermine my self-esteem. Every time someone questioned my choice for John, it was as if a small part of me doubted my own path. But like a tree that grows strong despite storms, I learned to find strength in my roots, in my deepest values. Society often taught me that success means having a title, a fancy car, a luxurious house. But what if success was something more intangible, something that cannot be measured in numbers or possessions? I discovered that true success lies in the ability to love and be loved, to build something meaningful with my own hands and heart. John, my husband, was not just a truck driver. He was a man of principles, a dedicated worker who dreamed of building a better future for our family. Together, we created a home full of love and respect, a refuge where true value was celebrated. However, external pressure was constant. My family, blinded by the glitter of money and status, could not see the richness that existed in my heart and in John's. They lived in a bubble of illusions where success was defined by appearances and not by substance. I, in turn, felt torn between loyalty to my family and fidelity to myself and my love for John. It was an internal conflict that consumed me, a battle between what I knew to be true and what society told me I should be. But like a seed that grows in darkness until it blossoms into full light, I began to realize that true success was not in external approval, but in the inner peace that came from living according to my principles. I learned that true love is not measured in terms of status or material wealth, but in the ability to be present, to support, and to grow together. John, with his determination and tireless work, showed me that success can be built with sweat, dedication, and love. And so, John and I built our life together, one step at a time. We faced challenges, yes, but every obstacle brought us closer, strengthened our bond, and reaffirmed our values. Meanwhile, my family continued to live in their bubble of illusions until the financial crisis brought them back to reality. It was then that John and I opened not only our doors, but also our hearts, showing that true value was never in money, but in character, compassion, and the ability to love unconditionally. Now, I consider how this story applies to my own life. What values do I consider most important? What defines success for me? Am I living according to my principles, or am I being guided by external expectations? Reflecting on these questions can be the first step on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, a journey that can lead me to a path of inner peace and genuine happiness. Now, I will explore a crucial aspect of this journey: the importance of understanding the internal patterns that keep me trapped by expectations that are not my own. I, over the years, felt torn between loyalty to my family and fidelity to myself. This internal division was fueled by a pattern of thinking that society often imposes: the idea that success lies in being approved by others. I grew up hearing that my sister Emily was the successful one because she had chosen a path that the family approved of. And you? Have you ever found yourself questioning your own choices because they don't fit what others expect of you? This pattern of thinking, this internal voice that tells me I need to be validated by others, is like a shadow that follows me. It makes me doubt my choices, even when I know, deep down, that they are right. I felt this shadow every time someone commented on my life with John. But, like a plant seeking sunlight, I began to realize that this shadow was not mine. It was a projection of others' insecurities and expectations. And so, I began to question, why was Emily's success celebrated while mine was ignored? The answer I discovered lay in the ability to see beyond appearances and value what truly matters. But, like any journey of self-discovery, this process was not easy. I had to face my own insecurities, my own doubts. I had to learn to silence the voice that judged me and to listen to the voice that supported me. And this is a crucial step for us all, because in the end, success is not about being approved by others, but about being true to oneself. It is about having the courage to follow your own path, even when it is not understood or celebrated by those around you. Now, I consider how this applies to my life. What are the voices that judge me? What are the expectations that keep me trapped on a path that is not mine? And more importantly, how can I begin to silence these voices and listen to my own? These are powerful questions, and the answers can lead me to a path of freedom and authenticity. Because in the end, true success lies in being who I truly am, in living according to my principles, and in building a life that reflects my deepest values. And this is where my story becomes even more inspiring. Because while I was fighting my own internal battles, John was there, by my side, supporting and encouraging me. He was not just a husband. He was a partner, an ally, a friend. Together, we built a refuge where true value was celebrated. And this is another crucial aspect of success: the ability to find someone who supports me unconditionally, someone who sees me for who I truly am and loves me for it. But like any relationship, mine and John's also faced challenges. There were times when the external pressure was so intense that it felt like everything was falling apart. But like a river that encounters obstacles in its path, we learned to navigate these difficulties together. We learned that true love is not about being perfect, but about being authentic. It is about being present, supporting, and growing together. And it is this authenticity that transforms a relationship into something truly special. Now I reflect on my own relationships. Who was by my side, supporting me unconditionally? Who sees me for who I truly am and loves me for it? And more importantly, how can I cultivate this authenticity in my relationships? Because in the end, true success lies in building meaningful connections and in finding someone who understands me and accepts me for who I am. It is about creating a refuge where true value is celebrated and where I can be completely myself. And so, my story and John's teach us that true success is not about being approved by others, but about being true to oneself. It is about having the courage to follow your own path, even when it is not understood or celebrated by those around you. It is about building relationships based on authenticity and mutual support. It is about valuing what truly matters and creating a life that reflects your deepest values. And above all, it is about finding the inner peace that comes from living according to your principles. Now I will delve deeper into the complexity of relationships, exploring how communication and vulnerability can transform not only my connections, but also my life. Imagine myself in a moment of conflict with someone I love. Words get stuck in my throat, my heart races, and I feel that if I open my mouth, everything could collapse. This fear of being vulnerable is something we all face at some point. But what happens when I decide to face this fear and choose honesty, even if it hurts? I, throughout my journey, learned that true communication is not about having all the answers, but about having the courage to ask, to listen, and to share. John and I faced moments when words seemed insufficient, when the weight of external expectations threatened to suffocate the love we felt for each other. But instead of pulling away, we chose to draw closer. We created a safe space where we could be vulnerable, where we could express our doubts, our fears, and our hopes without judgment. And this is where the magic happens. Because when I allow myself to be vulnerable, when I share my true emotions and thoughts, I create a connection that goes beyond words. This connection is built on trust, mutual respect, and deep understanding. John and I discovered that by being honest with each other, we not only strengthened our relationship, but also strengthened ourselves as individuals. We learned that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but of courage. It is the courage to expose myself, to be seen, and to be loved for who I truly am. Now, I consider how this applies to my life. What are the moments when I feel most vulnerable? What are the emotions and thoughts that I keep to myself, fearing that if I share them, they might be used against me? And more importantly, how can I begin to create a safe space for myself and for others where vulnerability is not seen as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and connection? Vulnerable communication is not easy. It requires practice, patience, and above all, self-compassion. Because often the biggest obstacle to me being vulnerable is not others, but myself. I am my own harshest critic, my own most relentless judge. And that is why before I can be vulnerable with others, I need to learn to be vulnerable with myself. I need to learn to accept myself, to forgive myself, and to love myself even when I feel that I'm not enough. John and I understood this. We learned that vulnerability begins within us, that before we can share our true emotions and thoughts with others, we need to allow ourselves to feel these emotions and thoughts without judgment. We need to allow ourselves to be human with all our imperfections and contradictions. And it is in this process of self-discovery and acceptance that we find the courage to open ourselves to others. But, like any skill, vulnerable communication can be developed. It starts with small actions, with small steps. It can be an honest conversation with a friend, a confession of fear or insecurity, or simply the courage to say, "I love you," when I truly feel it. Every small act of vulnerability builds a path to deeper and more meaningful communication. And over time, I will discover that this communication not only strengthens my relationships, but also strengthens me. Now, I think about how I can begin to incorporate more vulnerability into my life. What are the small actions I can take today to create a safe space for myself and for others? What are the words I'm afraid to say, but which, if spoken, could transform my life and my relationships? Remember, vulnerability is not about being perfect, but about being authentic. It is about having the courage to be who I truly am, even when it means facing the unknown. And it is in this process of self-discovery and acceptance that we find the courage to open ourselves to others. Because when I allow myself to be vulnerable, when I share my true emotions and thoughts, I create a connection that goes beyond words. This connection is built on trust, mutual respect, and deep understanding. And it is this connection that transforms my relationships into something truly special. Now I will explore another crucial aspect of vulnerable communication, the importance of creating a safe space for others. Because when I open myself to others, I am not only sharing my own emotions and thoughts, but also inviting them to do the same. I am creating a space where both of us can be vulnerable, where both of us can be authentic. And it is in this space that true connection happens. John and I understood this. We learned that vulnerability is not a one-way street. It is a mutual process where both partners strive to create a safe and welcoming space. We learned that when one opens up, the other must be ready to listen, to understand, and to support. And it is in this process of reciprocity that vulnerable communication becomes truly transformative. Now, I consider how this applies to my own life. What are the ways in which I can create a safe space for others? What are the actions and words I can use to show that I am ready to listen, to understand, and to support? And more importantly, how can I ensure that this space is a place of acceptance and not of judgment? Because in the end, vulnerability only flourishes when we know we are safe, when we know we are accepted and loved for who we truly are. And this is where vulnerable communication becomes an act of love. Because when I create a safe space for others, I am showing that I care. I'm showing that I value their emotions, their thoughts, and their experiences. I'm showing that I am present, not just physically, but emotionally. And it is in this act of love that vulnerability transforms into connection, into understanding, and finally, into healing. Now I reflect on how I can begin to incorporate more vulnerability into my relationships. What are the small actions I can take today to create a safe space for others? What are the words I can use to show that I am ready to listen, to understand, and to support? And more importantly, how can I ensure that this space is a place of acceptance and not of judgment? Because in the end, vulnerability only flourishes when we know we are safe, when we know we are accepted and loved for who we truly are. And it is in this process of self-discovery and acceptance that we find the courage to open ourselves to others. Because when I allow myself to be vulnerable, when I share my true emotions and thoughts, I create a connection that goes beyond words. This connection is built on trust, mutual respect, and deep understanding. And it is this connection that transforms my relationships into something truly special. As I approach the end of this journey, it is as if I am on top of a mountain, looking back and seeing the path I have traveled. Every step, every turn, every challenge faced has brought me here, wiser and more conscious. Reflecting on this trajectory, I realize that the puzzle pieces are beginning to fit together, revealing a broader and more significant picture. It is as if, throughout this journey, I have explored an unknown terrain, discovering hidden treasures around every corner. Every insight, every revelation, every moment of self-discovery has brought me closer to a deeper understanding of myself and others. And now, on the verge of this new understanding, I feel a silent anticipation, an expectation for what is yet to come. The ideas I have explored are not just abstract concepts. They are like invisible threads that weave the tapestry of my life. Each thread by itself may seem insignificant, but when intertwined, they create a complex and beautiful pattern. And it is in this pattern that I find the essence of what truly matters. My journey in Johns have shown me that true success is not in appearances, but in substance. It is not in what others think, but in what I feel in my heart. As I approach the end of this reflection, I feel a sense of fullness, as if I am harvesting the fruits of a seed I planted long ago. Every step I took, every challenge I faced, every moment of vulnerability I shared, all of this has led me to this point of understanding and acceptance. And now, I am ready to take the next step, to carry these lessons with me and apply them in my life. It is as if I am in a river, being carried by the current, but with the clarity that I can choose my own path. The waters may be turbulent, but I know that with courage and determination, I can navigate them. And it is in this navigation that I find true freedom, true peace, and true love. As I prepare for the conclusion of this journey, I feel a deep gratitude for every moment, for every lesson learned, for every connection established. And now, I am ready to carry these lessons with me, to share this wisdom with others, and to continue growing, evolving, and loving. Reflecting on this journey so far, I realize that true success is not about being approved by others, but about being true to myself. It is about having the courage to follow my own path, even when it is not understood or celebrated by those around me. It is about building relationships based on authenticity and mutual support. It is about valuing what truly matters and creating a life that reflects my deepest values. And it is with this understanding that I approach the end of this reflection, ready to carry these lessons with me and apply them in my life. Because in the end, true success is about being who I truly am, living according to my principles, and building a life that reflects my deepest values. And it is with this understanding that I approach the end of this journey, ready to continue growing, evolving, and loving. As I reach the end of this journey, it is as if a soft and constant light begins to shine within me, illuminating paths that once seemed obscured by doubt and fear. My story and John's have taught me that true success is not in material achievements or external approval, but in the courage to be true to myself, to choose authentic love, and to build a life based on values that truly matter. This journey has shown me that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It is the courage to expose myself, to be seen, and to be loved for who I truly am. And it is in this exposure that I find true connection, true understanding, and finally, true healing. Because when I allow myself to be vulnerable, when I share my true emotions and thoughts, I create a space where love can flourish and where relationships can transform into something truly special. Vulnerable communication, in turn, has taught me that true connection is not in perfect words, but in the ability to listen, to understand, and to support. It is about creating a safe space where both partners can be authentic, where both can be vulnerable, and where both can grow together. And it is in this space that magic happens, where love becomes deeper and where relationships become stronger. But above all, this journey has taught me that true success lies in being who I truly am. It is about living according to my principles, building a life that reflects my deepest values, and finding the inner peace that comes from this authenticity. It is about choosing love even when it is not understood or celebrated by those around me. It is about finding someone who supports me unconditionally, someone who sees me for who I truly am and loves me for it. And it is with this understanding that I approach the end of this reflection, ready to carry these lessons with me and apply them in my life. Because in the end, true success is about being who I truly am, living according to my principles, and building a life that reflects my deepest values. And it is with this understanding that I approach the end of this reflection, ready to continue growing, evolving, and loving. True practice begins now.